Alright guys, welcome back to Alan Wake, episode 4 story breakdown. Um, Episode 4 begins with Alan waking up and Alice over him, but it then fades. Emil Hartman standing over us, telling us to stay calm, and we've been a patient here for a long time since his wife died, and he was having an episode. You get up to find yourself in a room at Lake Lodge, Cauldron Lake Lodge, and a typewriter on the desk in front of you. Dr. Hartman comes in, seeing if we feel okay, and comes and what the fuck? Oh, wait, what? Sorry. It comes in, seeing if we feel okay, and he says he understands that we are confused, and to come with him to go over everything he might have forgotten and to get reacquainted. Tells you he specializes in helping artists. You then enter an elevator, and he tells you Alice drowned and we are hallucinating. He also says Alan has become obsessed with light and darkness. He says our mind... Sorry about the dog barking. He says our mind has come up with the fantasy we were going through so far. As we follow him, he keeps reiterating that it's all in our mind. Then you see a storm coming, and then Dr. Emil Hartman says he didn't see that in the forecast. He keeps telling us to accept the situation, but Alan doesn't buy it. You head upstairs in the main office and find a QR code. If you scan it, it takes you to a YouTube page showing Alan. I think this was building story for Alan Wake 2, as these are only in the remaster. You enter the game's room and you find the two biker-looking dudes from the diner playing a game. Could you have been here the whole time? The storm comes in and the power starts flickering and Dr. Hartman leaves, telling you to go to your room and try to write. The two brothers say it takes crazy to know crazy in this crazy world. By the way, these are the Anderson twins. They tell us we need to find the message and hands us a manuscript page detailing Thomas Zane. They also say we need to go to the Anderson farm. The manuscript page details Thomas Zane feeling a power through the typewriter and how his assistant is the only reason he's writing, otherwise he would have given it up. You head upstairs to see Alan on the TV talking about focusing on writing, and it's always been dark outside since he started, and the old woman isn't real. He says it's been lying to him, so he writes, and the story will come true. You go into your room and you try to write, but you start to shake uncontrollably, and in the distance you hear yelling. You see this as an opportunity to escape. You investigate what's happening and see Nurse Sinclair hit with the hammer on the floor, just like the page from last episode. You take the keys on the ground near her, you open the staff wing to find a page finding out Mott was working for Hartman, also revealing Hartman kidnapped Alice. You realize Hartman kidnapped Alice, but he didn't. The page implies Hartman kidnapped Alice, but he didn't. She's with the darkness. You also find a recording of Alice talking about Alan getting out of hand, getting violent, just not at Alice though. She also says she wished he would hit her so they could have a conversation without him just leaving the room. She also says she looks at us and sees a stranger, and there's something behind our eyes, which is what we heard from a phone call previously, meaning that that call was just this recording. You find a picture in the hall with Hartman standing next to the kidnapper, and you know you've been played. You open a room to find Barry, and he says Nightingale is crazy and the two of Hartman's goons knocked him out and put him in here. You enter Hartman's office to get your pages back. There's a gun on the desk and Hartman enters. You say you'll shoot him, and that you know he lied, and he says you can work together and write something incredible, and then the darkness shows up, possibly killing Hartman. As we locked him in the room with it, we have a page from Hartman's office, and it details Hartman ordering Jack to get Alan out of the water from earlier. The whole building is shaking and the lights are going out. You enter the main hall and find a lot of floating objects, so you go upstairs to turn on a generator, thus destroying it. Your path is blocked, but you find a flare clearing the way. You then find a page talking about Hartman being able to maintain creative control over the patients. You exit the lodge to find Barry with a car, but the gate's locked between us. He gives us a light and we have to head through the maze to get out. And then the entire house is possessed now with things floating everywhere in the darkness circling. You head through the maze fighting a couple of Taken and find a graffiti saying don't trust Emil Hartman. You then find a page detailing Alan finding a stage with Viking paraphernalia and the music started blasting from it. You find another page detailing Hartman being prepared for the darkness, and that Alan riding had awoken something in the lake. You can hear Taken Hartman talking nearby. He then attacks us along with some crows. You finish them off and keep running. Find another page on the way detailing Mott being scared of Alan but knowing he got under Alan's skin. You find another page about Barry falling off a cliff and being attacked by Taken. You find another page after you fight a few more Taken, and it details Hartman sedating Alan. You finally make it back to Barry, but Barry dropped the keys. So now we have to survive the Taken while he looks. Alan barely makes it out running for the car. Now you and Barry are in the car and you tell him you are going to the Andersons' farm, which is where the twin bikers from earlier lived. You tell Barry Alice is in the darkness under the lake, but she's not dead, and you tell him the darkness is using the manuscript to do this, and Barry believes you. So you need to head to the farm because the Andersons knew about it, but were on too much drugs from Hartman, so they couldn't tell you. Darkness then attacks the truck, throwing it off a cliff. Now you and Barry are separated. We also lost our gun and light in the crash. Barry says he'll head for the farm and to meet him there. You find a page about Walter arriving at the Andersons' farm with moonshine. Anderson's farm to get moonshine from the twins' fucking moonshine factory, sorry. But he sees a man on the porch and knew who it was, so he drove he drove for his life, crying as he went away. Jesus, I'm sorry. You're then attacked by a bunch of objects but have no light, so you just run as fast as you can. You find another page where Nightingale finds Alan sleeping and puts the gun to Alan's head, but doesn't have the nerves to pull the trigger and arrest Alan. You find a flashlight on your path. As you're running from Taken, you see a car driving from the farm in our general direction. For all Alan knows, it's Barry. You see the car heading for the cabin in front of you. The light from our dreams appears, saying it's trying to put the pages in the right place in time so Alan can figure out the story. You then pick up a page, and this one details the darkness growing stronger from the pages, but only being able to do what the story says and still being chained to the dark place. But when the story ends, it would be free. Make it to an abandoned building, finding a page talking about the patients escaping the lodge and that they had fought these shades before, implying that they've all fought in the darkness. You find the cabin and the car, but see no driver. You enter the cabin to find Walter, and he was running from Danny, but got caught and dies. A TV then turns on, and Alan says the story the darkness wants him to write is going to kill everyone, and he says he wrote himself into the story as the protagonist. He also says Zane will be the one to help him. This reveals the TV sequences are from the past, and we are in the story we wrote. We enter the car and drive towards the farm. On the way, you find a watchtower with the radio inside, with Pat talking about the storm and reads a missing persons report. Make it to the farm and see the darkness destroy a tower with an explosion. Alan then finds a rock stage just like the page said, and Barry's on it being chased by Taken and nearly dies. He's only saved because the pyrotechnics started going off. You now need to survive waves of Taken. More pyro goes off, killing the Taken and blowing up the building, revealing a path further into the farm. You find a page first, though, about a Deputy Mulligan questioning Nightingale's orders. You find a page inside the barn talking about the Andersons feeling like gods from their moonshine, where the main ingredient is unfiltered water from Cauldron Lake. You find a sign from 1975 detailing the Twins rock shows, which actually was in a lot of major cities. You find a TV in the barn with Night Springs on. You head into the silo with Barry, and we have to head upstairs to open the door. On the way up, you find a radio with Pat interviewing a couple deputies. You then head down an elevator with the Andersons' home just out of distance. You are then attacked by a giant harvester and Taken, but make quick work of them. We make it to the house known as Valhalla and see graffiti outside saying the old gods know the truth. You head inside to find the power out. You go upstairs to find the fuse box. Upstairs you find a page and it details Alan following himself out of the body and the beginning of the story when Alice was screaming in the cabin. You then listen to the twin song telling us to find the crazy lady with light and you need the witch's key. You and Barry then get drunk and have some fun and share standard drunk conversations. Alan talks about how he misses Alice. You are both drunk asleep, and then Alan wakes up seeing the night Alice went missing from out of his body. We were trying to use this to see where your missing week went. You see Barbara appearing and she tricks you into thinking Alice is inside the cabin. She fools you a few more times and then tells you it's your fault Alice died. She then tells Alan Cauldron Lake is special and he can change things. She says you can write Alice back into the story and the story will come true. Alan is in a trance state, says he'll write, and then Barbara jump scares the out-of-body Alan. All of his memories come back from the missing week, and he wrote the story nonstop for the week. When he wrote Zane in the story, it let Zane help Alan escape the spell, and that's when Zane took the pages. When Alan had awoken from the spell, he was confused and got in the car and started driving and crashed, beginning the story. Also, Zane is in like a super cool suit, like just full of light. It's kind of sick. It's like a diving suit. Then Alan wakes up with Nightingale pointing a gun at Alan's head and saying, "It is your fault. You wrote this." This ends episode 4, The Truth. So, pretty cool episode. It was very insightful to kind of... The last 2 episodes have done that. Like, episode 3 was really long, yeah. But episode 3 and episode 4 are very insightful for the story. Because now we know that missing week was Alan writing the pages. We also know that... Alice is most likely dead. Alan thinks she's in the darkness, which it could be that. She could be just sitting in the darkness. She's probably dead though. She probably drowned. And then it also teaches us how Zane started getting a part of this story, and it was because Alan wrote him into the story. So, very insightful, and it also... I mean, it tells you that this isn't the first time this has happened. Obviously, it happened with Zane, and that's why the lake sunk with him, or the island sunk with him. But this also teaches you that all these crazy old timers at this at Lake Lodge all have a history with the darkness, and they've fought in the darkness before. So it just implies that there's a lot of extra story to be had in Bright Falls that we probably won't ever touch on again, but it lets you know that there is a world there. You know, it gives you good world building. Anyway, this was episode 4 of Alan Wake. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment down below what you guys want to see on the channel in the future. And I'll see you guys very soon in episode 5. Stay safe out there, and peace out, guys.